All right. So, um, the promised loss video, still gonna have to wait. Just played one game this morning and ended up winning again. So now I'm number 6 in the world. 1888 Elo. Looks like one more win would put me up to number 3. This is gonna be a short video. There's really not that much to even analyze here. But it was a fun win. Um, it's just one of those games where you sit early as a road player, you get a perfect dev pull. There's not much that your opponents can even really do with your level of production. So this is a production game, but I suppose what's interesting about this game is just the initial placement in first position. So let's take a look. All right. Took a second to load. Um, this is a strong table, as you'll see in a minute. This game actually features Blue, Kathy, and actually this player was in my other video. Um, so a strong player, 1790, OJ. Placement games this season, but last season, 1744, 36.4% win rate last season. So pretty solid. Black here, 1698, but a nice win rate. Nice win rate. Okay, win rate last season. Yep. So a pretty strong board here, and I'm in the first position. This is perhaps maybe the only interesting thing about this game because um, as you'll see, this game is basically a bloodbath. But what's interesting here is that um, as you can see from my other videos, I'm generally taking OWS positions in first. So why am I not doing that here? It's a fair question to ask, as there are, quite a few OWS spots on this board. Well, I love the idea, first of all, of getting on the strongest ore here. The 10 ore is the strongest ore. The wood port here is excellent with the 8 and, potentially getting on the 6 on the way back. And then the 5 brick is also excellent here. There are only going to be 2 players on this board with brick is basically what I'm noticing. Me and the 8 410 player. But, it's important to note that 5 brick is 33% stronger than a 10 brick. So that's important. I'll also be initially doubling, my brick. So I'm going to have a dominant road building position on this board. It's very possible that the 8-4-10 player on the way back gets the 3-10-11 and goes full OWS and doesn't really utilize that brick. And maybe they'll even go to the ore port. So, whereas I'm likely to double the brick immediately, because that wood port's great for me. So I'm going to have a dominant brick position. But, so I take this spot over the other, obvious option, which is the 5-6-9 on the left side of the table. Why do I do this? Well, again, I want to be the only one pursuing the, road, that win condition. What I see is a very OWS dominant board, right? What I'm noticing is that 4th position is likely to get a really, really good OWS position. And I don't want to compete against that. There could, and if I give 2nd the 5-8-10, like he or she's almost certainly going to get a great, road building spot on the way back. And then, if I take the 5-6-9, I might be left with a coastal spot. This board could get locked up pretty quickly, right? So I take the 5-8-10. Next is 5-6-9. 3rd position might be the 9-10-11. This is what I'm thinking. And then maybe the 6-11-3 with the 4-8-10, and then maybe the 693. Anyway, this could get locked up very quickly, especially if the 6311 goes at the bottom. What I'm thinking it's possible I get the 61112, which I'm comfortable with, but it's also very possible that I'm stuck with, you know, with a coastal spot, or I guess I could get the 2910. But I think that that 91011 is going to go. So, you know, anyway, this board can get locked up extremely quickly. Um, so I want to, um, I want to let all three of my opponents, fight it out on devs. I want I want to be the only road builder, here. So I really don't think you can go wrong with the 10-5-8. There's definitely a case for the 9-5-10, but yeah. To me, the 10-5-8 is just very clearly the best spot. Black takes the 9-5-10, or sorry, the 9-5-6 makes sense. All right, third goes with 8-4-10, and then blue, last place, the person we played before, takes this spot. So as we can see, the board's already walking up, kind of as expected, right? The 9-10-2 won't be available. Now, Black and OJ have a good opportunity here to simply walk up the rest of the board, right? OJ can take the 6-3-11, and Black can take the 4-5-11, forcing me either into a coastal spot or onto the 3-4-8, which is smart. That's what they should do. Yep. You don't want the guy with the best brick, getting on and the best ore, getting on wheat here. So what they do is perfectly fine. And then I try to negotiate. OJ, I won't raise Brickport, but could I get a non-block? I got a tough game with no wheat, and he says, he refuses to play ball. Um, and then he calls out my ranking. So I take the 3-4-8, and I expected that this might be what I have to play with, right? It gives me a side by side, which is nice. I was really hoping to get onto that 6-11-12, right? If things had played out just slightly differently, I do get that 6-11-12 here. But I roll a 3. There's nothing to do. I know that nobody's trading me a wheat here. Wheat's too important. There's a lot of ore in their starting hand, so I simply pass instead of wasting time. 12 rolls. Black buys a dev. Let's see what it is. It's a VP. That becomes the fact that he pulled a VP first plays an important role later. 8 rolls. OJ buys a dev. Knight. 4 rolls. All right, so I'm on 7 cards, and I roll an 8. Not surprisingly, I'm, I do this a lot. First of all, I try to see what's out there. I often find the best way to get a 1-for-1 deal is just to offer cards. Whereas if you start with, like, let's say, wood for wheat or ore for wheat, people will ask for 2 cards. But if on the other hand, I ask for, wood for any card, sheep for any card, ore for any card, right? I often find that's a better way to get a 1-for-1 trade. And the other person will propose the ore for wheat. That's what I'm expecting here. Ore for wheat, potentially. Potentially with blue. I think he's the only one. Oh, black has a wheat. They all have a wheat. So I'm hoping for an ore for wheat trade, but I want the idea to originate from them. After they fail to respond to those trades, I offer ore for wheat. And black plays ball, and I do wood ore for wheat. I'm totally fine with this. Obviously, this is great for black because he's only on the 11 ore, and I've got quite a bit more ore than he does. He's got quite a bit more wheat. So we're pretty natural trading partners here. But I don't mind giving him that extra wood. I really don't mind. I produce so much wood. So my hand goes to this, and I buy a dev. And, it's a road builder, which is, I'm very happy about. I want to get to that 11-4. That's why I was negotiating for it at the start, right? I pointed my road right because, I find that, these early plows lead to a lot of robs, and I didn't, my goal at the start of this game at least was to get the three of them fighting, um, over Army, right? I wanted to be the only road player. So I'm glad to pull a non-knight, right? I let them fighting over Army, and I didn't want to plow. I didn't want to point my road left there, and risk, taking early heat from OJ and maybe the other players as well. A guy who plows is never viewed fondly. All right, I pass. Roll another 8. I'm already on 7 cards. Black passes. OJ rolls a 5, gives me a brick. That's great. OJ is trying to give away sheep. OJ buys a dev. Turns out to be a mono. Wow. Okay, I actually didn't know about that. That's the first time. Okay, um his second dev was a mono. Good to know there. All right. Back to my perspective. I'm on 8 cards now. Blue rolls an 8. And blue simply passes. I think that was a pretty quick pass. Um, he's trying to save for a city, so it didn't really give me time to go under. Um, I'm on 10 cards now, but we're gonna have to risk the 7 out. Fortunately, we survive it. It would have been hard to make an insurance deal with blue there, as he's saving for the city, and there's nothing in my hand that's desirable for that. So anyway, we roll a 9, and now the negotiations start, right? I want to plow to that 11-4. I mean, 11's not a lot of wheat, but I mean, with the brick 4, doubling the 4, getting on the 11, basically giving me space for road. I want the 11-4, and I'm going to take it if I can't get a good deal here with OJ. I ask OJ if he's got a wheat. I say I won't plow for a wheat or 2 non-blocks because he doesn't actually have a wheat at this point. And he says no. So I plow. I 4 for 1 for a wheat. Do I try to trade there? Let's see. Yeah, I try to give 2 wood for a wheat, and that's for anybody, not just for OJ. Nobody takes it, so I just want to settle here. I think it's arguable that you could also just go to the wood port first, but again, that 11 wheat is a big inducement for me here. I want to be on the 11 if it rolls, right? The 11 wheat completes my game. Just 1 or 2 11 rolls, and I really don't need to trade that much anymore. So you could make the case to go to the wood port immediately, but it's not like I'm getting an easy wheat trade here anyway. So I think it's fine to just settle. Also, if I build the road to the wood port, I pass with 5 cards versus settling makes me pass with 3. Passing with 5 cards here is, there's no single roll that puts me over, but I could definitely roll a couple 8s and be over. So I much prefer to settle and pass with 3 cards. I guess it could be there might be a trade for a dev there, but like blue is really trying to save for the city. He's not open to trading ore. I guess you could do like, yeah, there's probably a way to buy a dev, but I think that slows me down here. And again, I want to buy devs in this game, of course. But I'm also in this game because I know that I am the only road player. I'm comfortable letting the 3 of them, get to 1, 2 nights played each, so that they're focused on each other. And I'm okay delaying the devs slightly in this game because I think I probably am not getting army here. I don't. Blue has, I think, the dominant OWS position here, and I'm comfortable with that, as it's very hard for him to road settle. I'm okay. His production's not the best. I'm okay. Again, I'm okay letting the 3 of them fight it out, each having played an early night or 2. We see that Black has a VP and OJ's the only one who's put a night actually so far. But that's my thinking. So I settle. Pass. Black rolls an 8. See, if I had built a road towards the wood port and chosen not to settle, I'd already be on 7 cards. Black buys a dev, just a knight. Um, Another important point, like my production is already like even without a city, it's just so much better than everybody else's. I've got all five resources. Um, I've got I've got okay ratios too, to be honest. I mean, especially with the brick port and the wood port, which I'll get pretty quickly. But my production is already outstripping everyone else's by a good bit, and the eights don't hurt. But yeah, if you count my pips, right, I'm the only person who's doubled on an eight or a six, so that's quite beneficial here. Um, okay, so OJ rolls five here. Doesn't have much to do. He's trying to give away his sheep. He fails. Blue's turn. Blue rolls a five. Blue just passes. See, Blue is laser focused on saving for the city. He's quite close. Um, yeah, I guess there was really no trade for him there for the city. He's just patiently waiting. He passes on six cards. I roll a 12. I have seven cards. I'm obviously trying to get a wheat here. I know that my brick is quite valuable, but I'm unable to get a deal done, so I just build a road, pass with five cards. Not ideal. I could port the wood, but now that I'm ahead in points, and my position just does look kind of scary, and Orange might be pissed about the plow. I know that if I port for a wheat, my hand's quite vulnerable, so I pass, expecting to get robbed here. Three rolls. Black ports for a brick. Um, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if I don't think we would have been able to do a deal here. I'm not that I don't care that much about getting a bunch of sheep. It just kind of clogs my hand, right? Like even a 2-for-1 sheep deal would put me on seven cards without a brick. It wouldn't be that attractive for me. So he ports for the brick, builds a road. Six rolls. OJ is trying to get wheat, so there's no deal. He's trying to get brick, but he's not giving away any attractive cards, and I don't want to go over here. So 10 rolls. Finally, blue gets his city, so it activates his position. Blue still doesn't have any devs critically. All right, 11 rolls. I've got, I mean, I can build a road, but I've kind of got a stuck hand. So I'm now trying to get a sheep. The good thing is there is a lot of sheep out there. And, this I think is a pretty critical mistake by Black. Black, I only have one brick and I'm looking to settle here. I know I'm ahead, but that wood port is such an attraction for me, right? That wood port basically will provide all of my wheat going forward. It also doubles the five critically. So I've got a doubled eight, which can be any card, and a double five, which can be any card. So I care much more about settling there. And I know I'm going to get some robs, but all right, so Black trades me 1-to-1 or for sheep. I'm totally happy with that. I don't mind if giving Black another dev here, because again, there's going to be dev competition. With Blue now, within a really good OWS position. So I'm totally fine giving that to Black. It doesn't even give Black like an attractive hand. I mean, it just gives him an extra ore, which is a valuable card for him for sure, but it doesn't even give him a dev. And it just totally activates my game like that. I think that's a big mistake by Black, giving me that trade. My setup is complete. My production is excellent. I would say even with Blue City, my production is the best on the table. It's the most flexible. I've got all five resources. I've got okay ratios of ore wheat shape. I've got two amazing ports. And I do try to trade for a dev here to go to zero cards. I think that is I fail to get a trade, but it's important that I try to get that trade. Going to zero cards here is important because I know 100% that I'm the rob. Another important thing is if I do succeed in getting a dev here, I won't be sold on the 5 or the 8. Instead, I'll be blocked on the 10 or the 3. And to be honest, at this point, the 10 and the 3 are becoming less and less important now that the 5 and the 8 are doubled. Black rolls an 8 and passes. Because again, that trade didn't even give him a dev; it gave him nothing. That trade was a big mistake. Black's win rate he's a 60. He's the weakest player at the table, but his win rate is quite good. Last season 29. I mean, he's an okay player, but that trade was a big mistake. That was Black just taking ore, because he just, yeah, I don't think he thought that through. Okay. I'm now critically. I'm over 8 cards. I've got 8 cards. So it's time for me to try to do a deal here. But I don't have brick, and that's what Orange is looking for. Orange has an amazing hand here. He's got a mono. Kathy, Blue, I played with this person before, and also won that game. Kathy wasn't too happy. She wasn't too happy about how that game went, because I was also getting easy trades. So I think Kathy's responding to that really soft trade with Black. Let's see. OJ builds a road and settles. By 4 for wanting for brick. I think that makes a lot of sense. Sheep mono could be attractive on this board later. 8 sheep, 6 sheep, 4 sheep, 5 sheep, 2 of those are doubled. There could be a good sheep mono later, so I quite understand. I also understand doubling the 10, right? Because OJ produces a good bit of wood, so this should make getting to the ore port pretty easy. There's also a potential ore mono here later on. So I think that's a good move by OJ. I think OJ is in a good position here. Passes with 1 card, yep. We roll, Blue rolls a 5. I've got a huge hand. Blue simply passes. Yeah, not much you can do with 2 wood and an ore on this table. Fortunately, I don't 7 out. I would have had. Yeah, I don't think there was any sort of insurance deal with Blue. Blue's already, noting my really dominant position. Probably remembers me from that previous game. My rank has already been called out. I don't think there was an insurance trade here. I don't 7 out, and I have a huge hand. So I'm desperately trying to trade for wheat and ore here to get a city, and I end up just porting for the city. Let's see what else I could have done here. This isn't necessarily the best thing. You could road settle, but then you're out of settles. I think road settling is the weakest option because then you're out of settles and you're going to get robbed here. You are absolutely getting robbed no matter what you do. So settling out is not a good idea without any knights to protect yourself. It just delays the city, makes getting a city pretty tough. If the 8 and the 5 are getting soloed. So I've got the city, I take it. I could buy a dev here. Can I buy 2 devs? 6. 3, 4. No, critically, I can only buy 1 dev. I could build a road and buy a dev. Can I road settle and buy a dev? No. So building the city is basically the only thing I could do here. I could build 2 roads, but no. I mean, it has to be the city here, and it has to be the 8, 5, 10. That's quite clear, I think. 4 rolls. They're starting to get concerned about my position. Black's trying to get a trade. Just passes. Yeah, I think Black makes a mistake here. I mean, he has a knight. Black passes on 7. Yeah, I think Black's, this shows how weak of a player Black is. Black should be robbing me, blocking me, and buying a dev here for sure. But critically, he does not. So no one has played a single knight, and I'm noticing this. Wow, OJ's turn was quick. OJ rolls a 5, brings 3 brick into my hand, and passes on 3 cards. I think OJ could try to get a sheep here. I mean, Black has a ton of sheep. Black's now over. Black and OJ should be working together here. OJ wants a dev. Black probably wants to go under. I think there's some sort of insurance deal that could be worked out. I mean, they're both clearly behind at this point. Well, all 3 of them are behind, but Black is in the worst position. Blue also passes very quickly here. Rolls a 4. I've got 8 cards, but I believe Blue passed very quickly, and there was no sort of deal. Looking at our hands, I don't think there was a deal. Maybe there was a deal, but probably not. Okay. I fortunately do not 7. Actually, as we'll see at the end, there were 0 7s this game, which no doubt benefited me a lot. I had good luck this game in every way. But, I'm also pointing out my opponent's mistakes. I think Black and OJ are making some mistakes here, which doesn't help the situation. I roll a 10. I'm obviously trying to get wheat here. And I actually do what I think blue blocks me. I start doing crazy trades, putting up crazy trade offers, and I get a wheat from black for brick ore. I actually don't think I should be making this trade. This is actually a mistake on my part, a silly mistake. I guess what I'm thinking is that with all this ore, I'd rather keep the brick in my hand for road settles in case I'm assuming we're at the point in the game where my 5 or my 8 is going to be solo blocked, and just because there's so much wood on the table, I feel like it's the 5 that's going to get soloed. So I'd rather give away an ore and keep an extra brick. But this is actually a mistake because this is more one-sided in black's direction. Like I'm basically putting black on his port with this trade, which I think is a big mistake. Like it sort of activates him. So I think I should actually just port my 2 brick here for a wheat. And buy a dev. But I do that trade. I'm on 6 cards, so I build a road. Obviously, quadrupling the 8, great. The 3 for 1 point doesn't do much here. I don't know if I even use it a single time this game, but quadrupling the 8's great. And this helps my road path, right? 1 more road brings me into 6 road, so quite clear. There's not much I can do here. I'm going to have to pass on 4 cards, and nobody's giving me soft trades at this point in the game. Black doesn't 7 out and has a huge hand. But as we can see, that brick trade was a big mistake. I should not have done that, right? I think I was trying to be a bit too clever there, right? Keeping that extra brick in my hand, for road and a road settle. I shouldn't be activating black there. I don't like that trade. So black has a huge hand. Let's see what he does with it. He settles and buys a dev. He's engaging finally in some good hand management. He took a lot of risk there. So I've gotten lucky with no 7s, but black also got really lucky there with no 7. And then because he pulls another knight, he solos me. But it's too late now. It's just too late. 5 rolls. OJ does a trade with black. And OJ monos the ore. Now, I'm not sure what OJ is thinking here, but I have 0 ore. So any mono at this point that doesn't hurt me at all is probably a mistaken mono, unless it's like a winning mono or something. So I say nice, bye-bye ore. I mean, I'm super happy with this. OJ settles the ore port. Makes sense. Uses the ore to city. OJ's now on 5 points with a knight, and I see an opportunity here, right? Blue and black might be upset. So basically my plan from now on is just to solo block OJ, because blue and black are just too far behind. I mean, even if black gets army here, like he only goes to 6 points, it's tough for him to road settle. The block is now clearly an OJ with his war port and sheep port. Sheep port's quite strong for him here. But OJ critically is only on 5 points. He doesn't have any more road settles. He'd have to road settle, maybe the 8-3 and try for road. The army competition is going to be fierce on this board. So even OJ, my closest competitor is still far behind. He passes. We roll a 5 again. Like I said, there were 0 7s this game, so very lucky for me. Blue just passes. Blue is in a tough spot with the rolls. I play a knight off of my 8, of course, and I roll an 8. I mean, now the game is over, but I've got a big hand, so let's analyze what I do with it. I'm obviously trying to trade for wheat. No one wants it, so I buy a dev. Why am I doing this? Okay, I see an opportunity here. I don't know that black has knights. I don't know that anybody has knights. What does blue have? Blue has a knight. I have a huge hand. I've got these ports. I can easily take army here, right? And really no one is a threat for road. I mean, maybe OJ gets road, but now with his 8 blocked, if I can keep that 8 pinned, I mean, I'm 1 road from 6 roads. So I see a great double play opportunity here. And even if I don't pull knights, right, I'm probably getting something like VPs. I could get a mono, could get a yop, another road. Everything here is useful. I can win with road for 7, a VP, 2 more settles, something like that. Like I can win this game so many ways. And I see also critically that Black, the only person with the knight played, like he doesn't have any ore. He doesn't have that much production. I can easily buy more knights than him, so I buy a knight. And then I start thinking, what's the best way to win this game? Well, I choose to settle. Just try a mistake. I probably should buy another dev first. But I choose to settle. And then, many people here would connect for road, but I see no reason to do that. No one is close to winning. I simply buy another dev. I've got army. I think the order of that turn is a little messed up. I think I should secure army and then settle. Yeah, I think that's a slight mistake. But I'm comfortable basically settling there because I already have one knight. But I think I should have thought through this turn slightly better. Yeah, because we have the cards for double knight. But yeah, many people would build road there, which would be a big mistake. Building road there or opening up a settle on the 4 is a big mistake because no one it's so easy for me to build that last road in the future, and it's just much better to get the knights to protect my position. Building that last road is nothing. I mean, it takes one roll. It takes either a 5 or an 8. It takes absolutely nothing. Or a steal with the knights that I now have. So no reason to take road. Nobody else is at risk of winning with road. Even if OJ rolled perfectly, it would still be hard for him to take road here. So Black plays a knight. Super smart. Blocks my 8. Builds a road. I think Black should be trying to buy devs here. But he doesn't even try to make a deal. Oh, it doesn't look like there was a deal to be made anyway. Yeah, they have their hands don't really work together. So, yeah, unfortunately, there wasn't much he could do. But critically now, Black is stuck with 2 knights played and a VP, whereas I have army. Nothing OJ can do with 2 cards. Blue rolls a 9. Blue has a big hand. Wow. Let's look at this. Blue rolls a 9, has this hand, and passes. He doesn't even try to trade. I feel like he could be trading with Black there to 4 for 1 sheep. Yeah, wheat or sheep could be 4 for 1 here, probably sheep. So that Blue could buy a dev. Blue doesn't even play a knight. I think Blue should probably... Yeah, Blue should probably be... Oh, yeah, well, first of all, Blue should probably be working with Black there to get a dev, right? They need to get knights to keep me blocked. Also, Blue passing with 8 cards is just, it's obviously putting him at risk. No 7s end up rolling in this game, but, it's a silly amount of risk to take. But what was good there about me buying 2 devs rather than taking road is that I was left with 1 card, which was stolen by Black there. So if Blue was considering playing a knight, the fact that he wouldn't have robbed a card for me on the 5 probably prevented him from doing so. Obviously, I play a knight, and I solo block OJ. I view OJ as my only competitor. Even if Black has another knight here, right, he only goes to 5 points, 6 points with a settle. I'm not scared of Black. I rob a wood from OJ. I roll a 10. There's nothing I can do here. I obviously try to trade, but no one's going to trade me. I try to trade for a dev and 0 cards, but yeah, that's not going to go through. Very critically, Black does not have a knight. Rolls a 10. Black has a big hand. Simply settles. He should be buying a dev there in case I don't have a knight. That's a big mistake by Black. He actually has the dev, right? He has the 3 for 1 for the ore. And also, Blue has a ton of ore. Yeah, I don't get that at all. That's a big mistake. But to be honest, it doesn't even matter at this point. It's just too late in the game. He robs me. I roll an 11, which oddly enough, the 11 never came in handy here. The 11, I believe that was the only time it rolled while I was on it, but it didn't matter with my setup. OJ buys a dev. Builds a road. I guess he's finally realizing that he might, need to fight road on this table. Blue has a big hand, rolls a 5. It's an amazing hand. Doesn't much matter. He buys dev. He buys 3 devs, plays a knight onto the 5, robs me. Blue finally had a hand that worked for him, but it was just too late. I'm snarky. I say thanks for taking me under there, as he brought me from 8 to 7 cards. We roll a 10, play a knight, rob orange, doesn't matter, build 1 road, and win with a double play. That's a 22-minute game, 0 7s, 5s and 8s and 10s. There's not much to say. It was a lucky game in every way, but again, there was not a lot of teamwork going on between blue, orange, and black. They could have tried to prevent this. There were opportunities to prevent this, right? Black had knights that he was just not playing, right? Black, I think the biggest mistakes here were made by Black, who is, I believe, the weakest player at the table, right? He had a knight. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go to Black's perspective. Yeah, if we keep going back, right? This is what's important. Okay, right. So 7 never rolls this game. This is what's interesting about this game. 7 never rolls. So the robber is here on the desert, right? Black has a knight this whole time and doesn't block me, right? So I'm rolling these 8s and 5s that are activating my game, and he just has a knight. Look, we're going back. Black has a knight. He buys that knight really early on, right? He has it here, right? I think that I don't know when exactly he should have played the knight, but he should have played the knight at a certain point. Definitely, let's try to be more exact, right? To make this a useful video. Black should be playing the knight when I settled the wood port for sure. I'm for sure a double play risk at this point. Black needs to be blocking that 8 or that 5. He still hasn't played the knight. Look, the knight is still in the desert. I've got a city. I'm in such a dominant position here. The knight is still. When does the knight finally get played? Okay. The knight finally gets played when Black buys a second knight. Yeah. So he's waiting to buy that second knight before putting it on me. But critically, by this point, I've got a knight myself, so I can protect myself. So Black puts the knight on me onto the 8, which is good, but it's just too late, right? If we go back to my perspective, so the knight's on me. Yeah, the knight's on me. I obviously play the knight because I've already got a knight. I put it on the 8, and I do roll an 8, but I was going to buy a dev otherwise. Even if I didn't roll an 8 there, I was definitely going to buy a dev with all that brick. I had it even with a 7. Even with a 7 out. Okay, we got this hand. If I move it to the 8, I steal an ore. Even without the ore steal, I still have it. And let's say that the 8 doesn't roll, and I don't get a roll at all. Let's say the 2 rolls. I still have a dev, and I'm going to take it. In fact, I have 2 devs. Even with the 7 out, I have a dev. So this is the critical turn. It's too late. Black is playing his knight too late. He needs to be buying devs, working with the table. OJ, who might at this point want to pivot towards a road play, or a build to 10 situation, should be helping Black buy devs. They should be communicating, and Black should have played that first knight way before, because by this point, I'm just too far ahead. And very critically, right, I buy a knight before settling, right? If I'd bought a VP or any other dev, I would have bought another dev. I would have made sure to get a knight that turn, or do my best to get a knight that turn. So, anyway, Black play. That's one of the critical mistakes of this game. The easy trades Black was giving me, and then his failure to play that first knight until it's already too late. I guess we can look at the the stats here. So we looked at the dice. I mean, the fives and eights, no sevens. Was I on the nine? Yeah, not many nines. I mean, that's luck. I mean, the fives versus the nines really decided this game. Not many sixes. I mean, the dice were just beautiful. Too perfect for me. Dev card stats. Activity stats. Yeah, let's look at the activity stats. The resource stats. I want to see how many trades I got here. Resources gained by trading. 13. For me, 9 for black, 5 for OJ, and 0 for blue. Yeah, that's another key aspect of this game. I'm so far ahead, and they're still trading me. Resources lost by getting robbed. I was robbed the most, but I had most of the robber control because there were no sevens. So it was my knights, basically my knights and black's knights, deciding who was robbed. And I obviously soloed I sold the 8 sheep a bunch of times. Yeah. Resources lost by, I traded the most, as we can see. Anyway, that's a damn near perfect game, I would say, but some critical mistakes by my opponents there.